Hey, welcome back to the program. It's Sunday, the 18th of August. I'm going to do a quick follow-up to Friday's show on the Harris economic proposals. She gave her speech as scheduled on Friday afternoon in North Carolina, so I'll follow up a little bit with that. Before I do, though, a quick reminder of the historical events that have happened and gone by, apparently. Since Biden was removed and Harris was undemocratically crowned the Democrat nominee for president, since someone tried to kill President Trump, the media seems to have blasted past those two things. But don't forget the history we just lived through. Really historic stuff. Remember now, Democrats put Biden up for re-election knowing he was in mental and physical decline. It becomes admitted to by all on June 27th. And it becomes clear he won't beat Trump in November. There's an assassination attempt on former president and current nominee for President Donald Trump, the circumstances of which are highly suspect, and instantly boosting his numbers against Biden in the poll numbers. A week later, Joe Biden says he won't run for re-election, and within days, without a single vote of support, democracy is pushed aside and Kamala Harris becomes the nominee, largely because of money, right? That was her big advantage. The money that the Biden team had already raised could be hers. No one else that could have got the nomination would have had that benefit. Meanwhile, hundreds of millions of dollars have flowed to the campaign since, so that may not have really mattered. Anyone but Biden. Today, it's what assassination attempt? And all is well with democracy. And the process for selecting the Democrat candidate nominee was fine. The ends justify the means. All historical events and developments, and seemingly left in the ether. We'll get back to them eventually once the election is over. Moreover, all of a sudden, Harris has become a populist who hasn't yet, weeks later, outlined any policy positions. Go visit the Harris Walz campaign website. See for yourself, nothing. She has made clear her position on 4 issues. She's been running on abortion since she got the nomination. Okay for abortion up to the point of birth, and there should be a federal law to allow abortion across the country. And democracy is under attack by the Orange Man, right? That's the Jan 6 insurrection stuff. Keep in mind, of course, we are not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic. Now, she has done 2 other things. So in addition to democracy is at risk in abortion, she's jumped on board the Trump proposal on eliminating tax on tips. Now, on this topic, keep in mind, she was a deciding vote in the Senate that allowed more aggressive legislation to be passed that gave the IRS more authority to chase after tax cheats, including people that get tips for taxes. So a huge U-turn there. And she's on board expanding the child tax credit, which is something J.D. Vance proposed last week. And so she's kind of stolen those 2 things. Not too much of a big deal. It happens all the time in politics. And I'm going to suggest the same here in a few minutes, something she proposed on Friday. Harris's real first effort at sharing policy positions was on Friday in North Carolina. It was economic policy, and not good economic policy. Her proposals from an economic perspective, from a cost-benefit perspective, from a balanced budget perspective, from a reduced national debt perspective, get a grade of F. The proposals will do nothing to reduce inflation, will increase deficits and debt, and push up the cost of housing, and reduce incentives to work harder and save more. It's worth noting, of course, in North Carolina, Harris did admit publicly to America prices for food are at all-time highs. And she used the phrase since the end of the pandemic, and that's when Biden-Harris campaign began, right, January 2021. She owns that. Though the admission in public was nice, not helpful for her campaign efforts, but some rare honesty. She went on to lay out positions on reducing food prices through price caps and lawfare against businesses, a federal ban on price gouging, first ever. We'll need to get some clarification, some semantic clarification on this one for sure. Her whole speech on Friday was a bit vague. On housing, she's proposing a $25,000 down payment support for first-time home buyers who have a 2-year record of on-time rent payments, a weak metric. An innovations fund to help incentivize home builders to build more homes. She wants 3 million additional homes in the next 4 years. So about 750,000 more homes built per year than we're currently running. Housing starts for the month of July, about 1.3 million units on an annualized basis. Shutting down the southern border would do far more to help housing costs than anything proposed on Friday. I do like two of her housing-related proposals. The GOP should get on board these. She wants to end the ability of large financial service companies as landlords, private corporate landlords, from colluding on rent setting. Great idea. It is a current problem today. And she wants to stop deep-pocketed financial services firms from buying up single-family homes to turn into rental units. Again, something that's going on today, has been going on for years, and is a real problem for housing. Two excellent proposals. Even so, the whole thing as a package is bad policy and should be rejected by voters. More government intervention into the private sector. As a nation, we can't afford any of it. This package will cost about $2 trillion over 4 years. Rough. These policies are all inflationary and will only cause the Fed to fight those upward price pressures with higher interest rates negatively impacting credit markets. She still hasn't done any unscripted interviews since getting the nomination. Democrats should be concerned about that. A politician who avoids the media, avoids interviews on policy, avoids tough questions on changing policy positions, is a politician who is afraid and who knows they would damage their chances of victory on election day by doing so. She's not the only politician who's done this. It's been done hundreds of times in the past. It's done in the primary season across the country, but something she learned from Joe Biden. Even so, my Democrat friends, family, colleagues should be concerned, bothered, even angered that Harris has not one policy position on her website. This is not how it's supposed to work. And again, go visit Harris Wall's campaign website. Many Democrats are urging Harris to not reveal her policy positions, to stay vague out of fear it will negatively impact the campaign and end this wonderful honeymoon she and Democrats are enjoying all across the country. It's all vibes. Like Biden since his 2020 basement campaign, the Democrat establishment, including the media, of course, are trying to let her do the same. Another basement campaign, stay vague, don't give too much detail. With that said now, of course, she has a much better chance of beating Trump than Biden did, and the Democrats are excited. I still have Harris beating Trump in November. All right, that's all I have for you. Always try to buy American.